How do you tell if a straight guy is into you when you are LGBTQ+ and the situation is not as simple as reading a few signals? Maybe he texts you every day, remembers tiny details about your life, finds excuses to be around you, and looks at you in a way that feels different. Maybe he jokes about dating you, gets unusually nervous when you are close, or asks questions about your love life that feel more personal than normal. Or maybe you are wondering whether you are reading too much into ordinary friendship because you really like him. If you have ever been in this position, you are not alone, and you are not foolish for feeling confused. But before we talk about the signs, we need to start with the most important truth. There is no secret body language formula that can prove a man is attracted to you. A smile is not proof. A late-night text is not proof. Eye contact is not proof. Even intense chemistry is not proof. The only way to know for sure is honest communication, and honest communication should always include respect for what he says about his own identity and boundaries. That may not sound as exciting as a list of hidden clues, but it can protect your heart. LGBTQ+ people are often forced to become experts at reading between the lines. We learn to notice small changes in tone, lingering looks, coded jokes, and moments that straight people may never have to analyze. Sometimes that awareness helps us recognize genuine interest. Sometimes it makes us search for meaning in every interaction because the person we like has not clearly said what they want. The uncertainty can become addictive. You replay the conversation, check the exact time he viewed your story, compare the way he talks to you with the way he talks to everyone else, and ask your friends to interpret a message that could have 10 different meanings. At some point, the question stops being only, "Is he into me?" and becomes, "How long can I stay in this uncertainty without losing my peace?" The first sign worth paying attention to is consistency. Not one unusually warm conversation, not one night when he was emotional, and not one flirty joke, but a repeated pattern of effort. Does he regularly initiate conversations without needing a favor? Does he follow up on things you told him weeks ago? Does he make time for you even when he is busy? Does he suggest seeing you again instead of leaving every plan vague? Genuine interest often shows up as reliable attention. A person who likes being around you will usually find ways to maintain a connection, although people express interest differently. Some are confident and direct. Others are shy, anxious, or inexperienced. So consistency does not automatically mean romantic attraction, but it tells you that the relationship matters to him in some way. The next question is whether his behavior with you is genuinely different from his behavior with everyone else. Some people are naturally affectionate, playful, or physically comfortable with their friends. A guy who calls everybody babe, compliments everyone, and sends memes to the whole group may not be giving you a private signal. On the other hand, if he becomes noticeably more focused, nervous, or attentive around you, that may be meaningful. Maybe he remembers your coffee order but forgets everyone else's. Maybe he only opens up about his fears when the two of you are alone. Maybe he searches for your reaction whenever he tells a joke. The important part is not whether he does one of these things once. It is whether there is a pattern that feels specific to your connection. Another possible sign is that he creates opportunities for one-on-one time. Group friendships are easy to explain, but repeated private invitations can suggest that he wants a closer bond. He may ask you to get coffee, help him with an errand, watch a movie, go for a drive, or meet before the rest of the group arrives. None of these activities automatically mean a date. Some straight men have close friendships with LGBTQ+ people, and friendship can be intimate, loyal, and emotionally important without being romantic. But if he repeatedly chooses private time with you and combines it with personal questions, lingering conversation, and a desire to know you more deeply, it is reasonable to wonder whether something else may be happening. Pay attention to the quality of the conversation, not only the amount. Does he ask questions because he is genuinely curious about your inner world, or does he only talk when he is bored? Does he want to know what makes you happy, what you fear, what you want from a relationship, and how you see your future? Does he remember your answers and bring them up later? Emotional attention can be a sign of closeness, but again, closeness is not always romance. Some friendships are deeply emotional. The question is whether the connection feels mutual and whether he is also taking emotional risks with you instead of making you do all the sharing. Sometimes attraction shows up as nervousness. A guy who is usually relaxed may suddenly lose his words around you, fix his hair, avoid eye contact, laugh too much, or become unusually aware of how he looks. He may seem confident with other people but awkward when the conversation becomes personal. He may start typing a message, delete it, and send something casual instead. These behaviors can happen when someone has a crush, but they can also happen because he is shy, socially anxious, intimidated, or worried about saying the wrong thing. Nervousness is a clue, not a conclusion. Do not turn every awkward moment into evidence that he secretly wants a relationship. Flirting can be even more confusing. Flirting may include playful teasing, compliments, suggestive jokes, extended eye contact, affectionate nicknames, or comments about how attractive you are. But different people have very different definitions of flirting. Some friends joke in ways that sound romantic but have no romantic intention. Some people flirt because they enjoy attention. Some use humor to test a boundary without knowing what they want. If he makes a flirty comment and then immediately acts like you are crazy for noticing it, that is not fair communication. You deserve to ask what he meant without being mocked. A healthy connection should not require you to pretend that confusing behavior does not confuse you. One potentially useful sign is how he responds when you talk about dating. Does he show genuine interest in your relationships? Does he ask whether you are seeing someone, what your type is, or what you want in a partner? Does he seem disappointed when you mention a date? Does he bring up his own dating life in a way that feels like he is trying to make you jealous? Jealousy can be emotionally powerful, but it is not proof of love or attraction. People can feel possessive because they fear losing a friend, because they want attention, or because they are insecure. Do not confuse jealousy with commitment. Someone who likes you should eventually be willing to communicate, not keep you in a competition with imaginary people. You may also notice that he is curious about LGBTQ+ topics or asks thoughtful questions about your experiences. This can mean many things. He may be supportive and trying to understand your life better. He may have questions about his own identity. He may be attracted to you. Or he may simply care about you as a friend. Try not to treat curiosity as a confession. If he says he has wondered about his sexuality, let him explore that without turning his questioning into a promise to you. If he identifies as straight, believe him unless he chooses to describe himself differently. Attraction can be complicated, but it is not your job to assign a label to someone who has not chosen one for himself. Sometimes a straight guy may feel emotionally close to an LGBTQ+ friend and experiment with jokes, affection, or conversations that make the friendship feel charged. That does not necessarily mean he wants to date you. He may be comfortable with you because he trusts you. He may be trying to understand himself. He may enjoy the emotional intimacy while still wanting the relationship to remain platonic. It is possible for a person to have complicated feelings and still not be ready, willing, or able to act on them. Your feelings are valid, but they do not create an obligation for him to return them. Look at whether he respects your identity without making you feel like an exception. A guy may say, "I am straight, but you are different," and that can sound flattering at first. But it can also become a way to keep you emotionally attached while avoiding clarity. Be careful with statements that make you feel special but leave you with no actual information. Does he respect your pronouns and boundaries? Does he defend you when people make homophobic or transphobic comments? Does he treat your relationships as real? Does he speak about your identity with respect when other people are listening? Supportive behavior is valuable, but it does not automatically mean attraction. You should not have to accept disrespect simply because someone occasionally gives you attention. Another sign people talk about is physical touch. Maybe he hugs you for a long time, sits close to you, touches your arm while talking, or finds small reasons to be near you. Physical closeness can feel intensely personal, especially when you already have feelings for someone. But touch is only meaningful when you know the person's normal boundaries and when the behavior is welcome. Some people are naturally touchy with friends. Some cultures and families express affection physically. Some people touch others without considering how it may be interpreted. If you are uncomfortable, you can create distance. If you want clarity, you can calmly say, "Sometimes the way we interact feels a little flirty to me. How do you see it?" Your comfort matters more than decoding the gesture. Digital behavior can create its own kind of confusion. Maybe he sends you good morning texts, reacts to every story, shares songs that seem personal, or messages you late at night when he says he cannot sleep. Maybe he sends photos of his day, checks whether you got home safely, or keeps conversations going long after the original topic is finished. These can be signs of emotional interest, but online habits are not always romantic. Some people communicate more openly through messages than in person. Some people text everyone constantly. Some become more affectionate online because there is less pressure. Instead of asking what one message means, ask whether his communication is consistent, respectful, and matched by real-life effort. Late-night conversations deserve special attention because they can feel intimate very quickly. A person may tell you his deepest fears at 2 in the morning and then act distant the next day. He may seek comfort when he is lonely but disappear when you need support. This can create an intense connection that is real emotionally but not necessarily romantic or sustainable. Ask yourself whether he wants to know you in ordinary daylight, not only when he is bored, lonely, upset, or looking for validation. Interest should not exist only when it is convenient for him. A very important sign is whether he takes responsibility for the effect of his behavior. If you tell him that something feels confusing, does he listen? Does he clarify his intentions without making you feel embarrassed? Does he say, "I did not realize it came across that way, and I want to respect your boundaries"? Or does he call you delusional, accuse you of ruining the friendship, or continue doing the same thing while refusing to discuss it? Confusion happens in relationships, but emotional safety depends on how people handle confusion. You do not need someone who never makes a mistake. You need someone who can communicate honestly when a mistake is pointed out. Before you decide that a straight guy is into you, consider whether you are looking at the full picture or only the moments that support your hope. This is not a criticism. When we like someone, our brain naturally pays more attention to positive signals and explains away negative ones. You may remember every compliment but forget that he cancels plans repeatedly. You may focus on the night he held your hand but ignore the fact that he never makes space for you in public. You may interpret a vague message as romantic because you want it to be. Try writing down the behavior without adding a meaning to it. He texted me at midnight. He asked about my date. He invited me to his apartment. He called me his best friend. Then ask what other explanations are possible. This can help you stay grounded. You should also ask whether you want him, or whether you want the feeling of being chosen by someone who seems unavailable. Sometimes the uncertainty itself creates excitement. A person who is difficult to read can occupy your mind more than someone who is emotionally clear. You may start believing that if you can finally get him to admit his feelings, all the waiting will become meaningful. But a relationship should not begin with you trying to solve a puzzle while the other person watches. You deserve mutual interest, not a private investigation. If you decide to ask him, keep the conversation simple and low pressure. You do not need to make a dramatic confession in front of friends. Choose a private but safe setting where both of you can speak honestly. You could say, "I value our friendship, and I want to be honest. Sometimes our conversations feel a little more than friendly to me. I am not trying to pressure you, but I want to know how you see our relationship." You could say, "I have developed feelings for you, and I would rather be clear than keep guessing. If you only see me as a friend, I will respect that, but I may need a little space to reset." This kind of honesty gives him room to answer while also protecting your dignity. Do not ask a question you are not emotionally prepared to hear answered. If he says he is straight and only wants friendship, you may feel disappointed, embarrassed, or even angry. Those feelings do not make you a bad person. But his answer still deserves respect. Do not argue with him about his sexuality. Do not list every sign as evidence that he is secretly attracted to you. If you are dealing with this situation, remember that you are not wrong for having feelings, and you are not asking for too much by wanting clarity. Notice the patterns, respect his words, communicate honestly when you are ready, and protect your boundaries. You can care about him without putting your own life on pause. You deserve a connection that is mutual, visible, respectful, and real. You deserve someone who makes honesty feel safe instead of making you guess. No matter what happens with him, your identity is valid, your time has value, and your heart deserves to be chosen openly.